Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Ron. Thank you for tuning in. As you can see, I'm getting ready to take out my BetaFPV 95X yet again. Having some good times with this, having some really good success with this drone, which brings me to this video. I wanted to talk a little about, if you're a beginner getting an FPV, some things I've learned and something I would recommend. Now, real quick, some of the specs on this particular quad are, it's like I said, it's the Beta95X Whoop. It's got the CADX Vista digital system built into it, so it's compatible with the DJI system. As you can see here, I got the DJI FPV goggles. I got their DJI remote controller, so it's compatible. CADX Vista is totally compatible with that system. This particular drone is going to run you about $289. I got mine off of BetaFPV. If you want to check out their site, I'll leave a link below. It weighs about 110 grams without the battery. It's got the 2.5-inch props, 3-blade props on here. It's a 1106 4500 kV motors with the 16A Belly 32 ESCs. You can do dives or power loops with this guy, and it's recommended with the 450 milliamp 4S batteries. It's also compatible with other receivers as well, not just the DJI FPV system. So again, CADX Vista system, compatible with all the DJI gear. What I wanted to reference or bring to your attention is, when I first got into this, did a ton of research, did a ton of homework, especially in the LiPo batteries, things like that. Put a link here. You can see some of the gear that I've bought since I kind of went down this journey of getting into FPV. I'm sure you guys, if you're looking into getting started, are probably doing something similar. And to save you a little heartache, and from what I've learned this far, I originally had bought a bigger quad. I bought a 5-inch quad, a little more motor, bigger motors on it, 5-inch blades, thinking, okay, well, trial and error, I'll get there. But it actually slowed me down in the learning curve process. So what I would recommend, if you're getting into FPV, not only doing all the back-end research on your LiPos, beta flight, understanding how these quads fly compared to other types of drones, like the other DJI products like the Mavic Air, the Mavic Mini, things like that obviously hover in place. These fly much different. Is to buy something smaller, and I'm going to recommend to you this particular quad if you're getting started. It's light, it's agile. It bottom line is, it's going to save you some heartache on the learning curve, because when you crash this, and believe me, you're going to crash these guys, it flies just like a fuller. I guess what I hadn't realized is that this quad flies very similar to some of the bigger ones. It feels and flies just like the bigger ones. The big difference is when you hit something with this, or you don't land it properly, my landings are still a little sketchy, you're not going to break something on here, or potentially you're not going to break as much or as frequently as a bigger, heavier quad. So that light 110 gram, again, without the battery, without the 4S battery on it, makes all the difference. Now, I had cracked the frame on this, which wasn't a big deal. I glued the frame back together, but bumped it into a few things. You can swap out the props, but you're not going to have to, I spent a lot of time worrying about having to rebuild the flight controller and resoldering and do this and do that, and it really kind of, I think, hindered my progress in getting out and being able to fly. So since I've gotten this, I've really gotten some quality airtime in, as you can see, and I'll put some links up here to my previous couple of videos. I'm going to fly again today. I'm actually at a similar location. I had to move from where I was on my previous 2 flights because there's actually a game going on, a softball game going on. But I wanted to share with you at least my initial thoughts on, starting with something smaller, much more forgiving. You're still going to have to eventually understand, beta flight. You're still going to have to understand, your LiPo batteries. You're still going to have to learn how to solder at some point. But just to get you started, obviously after you've spent quite a bit of time, and I did 20 plus hours, leaning toward almost 30 hours in a flight simulator. I was using Liftoff. You can use other flight sims as well. After you've put some time into that flight sim, your next step is going to want to be buy something small like this. Now the tech's always changing, so even this, there's a version 2 of this out that has a camera on it. A 360 Go can be mounted to it, or a naked GoPro can be mounted to it as well. I didn't go with that option because, again, I didn't want to go to put too much money into putting all that additional gear on here, some additional cameras and whatnot, only to break it or crack it. I wanted to get my flying down first. I can't stress that enough. Get your flying down first. So even with this one, you're going to get your recordings out of the DJI goggles off the CATX Vista system. So you're going to get 720p at 60 frames per second, which is fine for uploading some videos and just getting some nice footage out of the goggles. Now, once I get a little more skilled, 100%, I'm going to upgrade. Probably going to bring out my Rotor Riot HD1. I'm going to mount a GoPro camera onto the top of it. I know the GoPro 9 just came out, but I won't be mounting the 9 on there. A little pricey. I'll probably be mounting one of the older cameras, and we'll go from there. So let's get flying. My feedback to you guys: start small, work your way up to something heavier. See you in a few.
And before I go, I did want to give you one final update. I did charge up an additional set of batteries, went out as the sun was setting, golden hour, looked really nice out, and I did manage to break yet another duct on this frame. It's not the first time I've broken this frame. The frame is a little stiff, I'll be honest, and I was trying to do some closer maneuvers around the trees, trying to just work on my turns, but obviously maybe I should use cones or something else instead of the actual trees, you know, running into the trunks and whatnot. So I got some clips on here right now. I used a zip tie that I had cut to fit in here. I may actually reinforce all the ducts with a zip tie and then just epoxy glue around the edges. Zip ties have a lot more flexibility to them, and I'm thinking this frame is a little stiff. So just something to keep in mind. It's definitely possible to break this frame if you hit objects hard enough. I did want to give you that update, so I'm in the middle of repairing that. I got some clips on there right now, and I'm again using that JB plastic epoxy glue. I'll leave a link below. I've used it before. It works pretty good. So that's where we're at. It's better than an entire frame replacement, disassembling this entire quad. So that's it. Take care, guys.
Oh, and real quick before I forget, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell for future notifications. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if you're thinking about getting into FPV, if these videos help you at all.